rains pick up each year, so do these fires, raising deeper concerns about safety culture, building standards, overcrowded commercial spaces, and the strain on emergency responders. To help us understand the human impact and the broader seasonal trend, we have Emmanuel Bagudu standing by in Kano. And of course, we'll also be speaking with Al-Hassan Ahmad Kantin on fire safety, market regulation, and the broader picture behind this recurring disaster, Mazino.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. We've just been told that Emmanuel might not be joining us for this conversation, but you're welcome, sir. Good to have you here, sir. Let's first start by asking the very important question about how come we always have these kinds of occurrences when we get to this part of the year, the harmattan season. What are the factors that bring about this situation?
All right, thank you very much. Good morning, to you and our beautiful listeners. Before we venture into that, there are key things you need to know when it comes to fire outbreak. First is the science behind every fire. A fire could not occur without three elements. The first is fuel, second is oxygen, and the third is heat. When you have these elements in appropriate proportion, you are bound to have a fire outbreak. So if you have knowledge of these three key elements, your duty would be to avoid the coming together of these elements in appropriate proportion. So whether it is in the market, workplaces, at home, wheresoever, anywhere we see fire, these key elements come into existence. Now, if you talk of oxygen, oxygen is abundant in the atmosphere. It's natural. If you talk of fuel, human being itself is fuel. Anything that can be consumed by fire is fuel. So on this now, you could imagine how human can live without fuel. So we are all surrounded by fuel. And the third item or the third element is heat. That is what we humans have control over. That is the item or the element we can manage. Now, when you talk about Singa Market and all markets in Kano, markets cannot do without fuel. In fact, almost all markets sell fuel. Fuel sells fuel. Human beings sell fuel. I don't know if I'm communicating. Now, if human being is selling fuel in the market, human being is surrounded by fuel. The market itself is surrounded by fuel. What else do you expect? Already there is abundant oxygen in the atmosphere. The only thing you have control over is heat, as I said earlier. Now, if heat is not properly managed wheresoever, it doesn't matter whether it's in the market, as I said earlier, you are bound to have fire. Now, when you come to markets in Kano, usually fires do occur midnight or early morning. Now, the recent fire at Singa Market was traced to electric spark. The electric spark generated heat and fire started. How long or when did the fire started? We cannot ascertain. But at the time the fire was reported, almost 25 shops were up in the flame. Now, what are the rules in play when it comes to fire outbreak in the market? First, there is high fuel loads around the market. Ignition sources, that's when you talk about the poor or substandard electrical wiring. what is it called? Solar systems. When we also talk about poor compartmentation. You see about a building that covers more than 100 feet with 25 or more than 25 shops sharing the same roof. What do you expect? If there is fire in one room, there is every tendency that it will spread, it will extend to other shops. Now, you talk about the harmattan factor. Of course, there is low humidity, there is dry air in the atmosphere. And what this air does is to enable the fire to spread widely. Now, let me take you back a bit. One thing you need to know about...
Before you take us back, Al-Hassan, we do have our correspondent who has joined us now.
Yes.
And would also like to take some information from him because he was on the spot on the day of the fire.
Yes.
Queen, please go ahead.
Emmanuel, thank you for joining us. Can you give us an insight as to how are the traders interpreting this incident, especially knowing fully well that this situation is, reoccurred before, and are they seeing this as part of a worrying trend or an isolated accident? Manuel?
Yes, what they are saying is straightforward. They believe that the fire would have been prevented if there is a presence of a fire station at the Singa Market. In fact, they made it clear that the issue of establishing a fire station at the Singa Market has been allegedly politicized because they mentioned that the Singa Market has a fire control vehicle which has not been brought into the Singa Market. I believe that fire control vehicle was there at the time the fire started. They should have been able to control and minimize the loss. So they are calling on the government. They are making it clear that Singa Market is a big market that provides a lot of revenue for the state government and the federal government, and then there has to be a presence of a fire station in that market because there is a fire station in Kantinkori, the popular, wholesale shop in Kano. There is a fire station at Sabankari. There is a fire station at Bata. But why is it that there is no fire station at Singa Market? They believe that vehicle, which they believe the Association of Traders in the Singa Market, have, the vehicle should be brought immediately because somebody allegedly mentioned that it is because of parking space. But they believe that government must, fulfill their promise by bringing back that fire control vehicle to them and then ensuring that there is a fire station in the Singa Market, just like it is available in other markets. Yeah.
Mr. Al-Hassan, I'm wondering if you'd like to respond to the situation here that Emmanuel has just raised regarding the absence of a fire truck in that market as against all other markets there in Kano.
Yes, may I humbly inform you that there are Federal Fire Service in Kano, Kano State Fire Service, as well as private fire services in Kano. The fire truck in question, we are not in the picture as far as Federal Fire Service is concerned in Kano. And we've been doing the best we could to get closer to the Kantin Quarry Market Association or the management of the Kantin Quarry Market Association. In fact, there is a lecture, a fire safety training we scheduled for next week. So I cannot respond to such allegation of politicization. I can only speak for the Federal Fire Service at Kano level. Thank you.
And we noted this in the beginning where we told that Kano State always has a recurrence of these kinds of situations, especially during the harmattan period. So we're wondering what measures have been put in place so far, noting that this, well, from past experience, always happens when it comes to accessibility of these kinds of facilities like markets. What has the fire service put in place to help or aid should there be an instance of a fire breakout?
Let me remind you that the best way to fight fire is to prevent it from occurring. And one of our mandates is that we are responsible for responding to emergencies. We fight fire and prevent fire. We save lives and property. Now, if you look at these mandates, picture Kano markets in this picture now. Now, have you ever been to to Singa Market? Do you know what it takes? Do you know what it takes for you to pass through the market even on foot? So there are measures that ought to have been put in place right from the development of the plan, of the market plan or design. And we are finding it so difficult now to romance both the market associations as well as the government. What will it take? Should we recommend relocation of the market from the heart of the city to a safer place? Or should we penetrate and enforce regulations? These are the challenges we are having as far as markets, not single markets alone in Kano, as far as markets are concerned in Kano. Are you aware that there is a market, a market in Kano that almost on annual basis, fire outbreaks is being recorded? And it suffers the same feature with single markets. So this has to do with the management of the market as well as the government. The Federal Fire Service do not have the right to relocate the market to a safer place. So at Kano level, at Kano command level, what we are doing is to ensure that these marketers are trained. And that was where the initiative of market fire marshal come in, where we seek to train the market guards. In case of emergency, they should be able to respond even before the arrival of firefighters. So, in response to your question, what we need to do, or what we've been doing, is to romance these marketers, train them, as well as the security team that are always on ground, because usually these fires come up at midnight. So these are the two things we are currently doing, and we've been penetrating all markets. Now, there is another setback also, or a challenge. You find it difficult to convince people when it comes to fire prevention. What people do understand is fire protection. If there is a fire, they should call the fire service. And we are not saying that now. Before the fire starts, let's educate you on what causes fire and how you can prevent fire. And should, in case, if there is an emergency, these are the things you need to do even before the arrival of the firefighter. This is the meeting point. And we are in the season. That's why at both the federal level and state level, we do organize a fire safety week where initiatives are centered around intensive fire prevention activities. So, as far as the command is concerned, what we are after is fire prevention, not even fire protection. Now,
So, Emmanuel, I wanted to ask you now that you were there live and you saw what happened in the market and the response of the traders saying that, you know, if they had the fire truck there. But now the deed has been done. Has there been any response from the government as to how they can help the traders? Do the traders have any form of fire insurance as to how to get some level of, you know, payment or money back after they've lost so much?
The only intervention they actually said was being made was the fact that the chairman of the association, his name is Barrister Junaid Mohammed, has made a contact with government authorities, where the government said that there has to be a space for the fire control vehicle. That is the only intervention for now. For now, they are still counting their losses, and they are still taking note of the damage being done so far. But they have made it clear that their chairman, Barrister Junaidu, has made contact with the government authorities concerned, and that, of course, there are some places may have to be demolished, some spaces may have to be created for the fire control vehicle to come in, because they mentioned, the chairman of the association told me that there is the issue of space. Just like of course, the fire service spokesman made it clear that penetrating that place is very, very, very so congested. We're talking about hundreds, even thousands of youths coming in there just to make a living, and it's on a 24-hour basis. So, and we have this massive explosion of Nigerian youths between the ages of 15 and 25 coming in there to make a living, and they're making good money there, you know, because the commercial activity at the Singa Market is so unprecedented. So there's an issue of space, and of course, they made it clear that the space is being provided currently for the fire control vehicle to come in. But for compensation, they've not heard anything yet. But of course, we have seen a statement from the office of the Kano State Governor. Of course, Governor Kabir Yusuf, who commiserated with those who have lost their properties, and of course said they are going to look into the situation to see how they can, you know, reduce the pains of those who have lost their properties. Yeah.
Well, Emmanuel, you are stationed in the north and you've seen these instances spread across the north. But Kano's case is a bit different. So I'm wondering what persists when it comes to Kano? Why do we keep having these more frequently than we do in other states in the north? Is it something to do with habit? Is it something to do with structure or maybe planning? What exactly makes Kano's instance different from the rest of the northern states?
This answer is very straightforward. Kano is a northern Nigerian powerhouse in terms of population and commercial activities. The only thing Kano is known for is the main thing they are known for is agriculture, commerce, and then of course politics. So you cannot just just look at it and believe that this is expected, right? I just mentioned it that in fact, if there has to be any census currently, I can predict that Kano may be at par or even be ahead of Lagos in terms of population, because over the years, from the statistics I have, the expansion and the young people that have come into Kano, the birth rates and the ungoverned spaces that are available in Kano, because there's this initiative by former Governor Rabi Musa Bonkozo, who has created mega cities. In other words, he has expanded the state in order to contain the population. But unfortunately, nobody is ready to leave the city center. They are all, jam-packed and congested into the city center. Nobody's interested. In fact, there was a time the current governor imposed a revocation of properties at the Concosia estate. That's somewhere around Zaria Road, at the outskirts. Because nobody wants to leave the city center to go and occupy lands, free lands, almost at free, cheap houses. But they all come in and they contest themselves inside this city center, making life very difficult for themselves and for the government and for everybody. That is the reason why Kano is having that kind of issue. Congestion and massive population of youth. Of course, not necessarily educated formally. They really believe in commerce, because commerce has been a tradition. Business has been a tradition. If you can see those guys, hustling every day at Singa Market, that is what they know for now. They believe that they have to make that money first, and before they can be able to go to school, because that is a tradition. But it is right now, I think this is only this administration, from my records, only this administration that has invested a lot in education. An unprecedented 31% are dedicated to formal education by Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf. But other administrations will just look at it and say, okay, our people are doing very well, let us allow them, they can fend for themselves. But I can tell you that commerce is the reason why, in fact, commerce, within the 44 local governments of Kano State, commerce has been the attraction of the youth, and they will continue to, come into Kano City Center, come into the commercial center of Kano.
All right, then.
Whether we like it or not. And that has to be controlled. That has to be controlled by, just like what the PRO the spokesman of fire service said, we have to take the market to a bigger space.
Right.
We have to, decentralize the market. That is the reason why Kano has that issue. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Emmanuel. Thank you for that report, at least for Nigerians to see that, it's not just Balogun Market that is facing this harmattan season fire. We also have it in Kano. We appreciate that report. And of course, to DSP of Fire Service, I hope I got that right, Mr. Al-Hassan Ahmad Kantin. Thank you so much. We appreciate all the work that the fire service do for the nation. It's